Hello, my name my name is Blind Metal Gamer. I'm wearing a camouflage shirt and I have brown hair and brown eyes. I'm going to take this opportunity to inform you, the gamer or game developer or content creator, as to why accessibility is needed and very much important in the world of gaming. First, I'm going to begin by sharing a brief story about me, Blind Metal Gamer, a blind content creator, streamer, podcaster, and accessibility advocate. My story begins on October 12th, 2023. I woke up, everything was great. I had good usable vision, and then all of a sudden, poof, that vision was gone. With that being said, my entire space for content creation went from I'm going to play all these cool retro games and all of this to not knowing what I was going to do in terms of my content. Then, after dealing with an attempt to get the situation fixed that did not go well, I realized that there were video games that could be played by me as a blind gamer, but I'm not here to discuss my personal journey. I'm here to discuss why accessibility is important. The reason why I'm sharing this story is because prior to that day in 2023, the accessibility movement in video games was starting to really take off. Thanks to the late great Brandon Cole, aka Super Blind Man, who helped work on games such as The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 1, Mortal Kombat 1, Forza Motorsport, and As Dusk Falls. Video game accessibility took a huge leap forward. Now, I'm going to fast forward to God of War Ragnarok. So, God of War Ragnarok comes out, and it's got your basic screen reader and all of that, audio cues and things, but there was no descriptive audio. Eventually, they patched that in. Sony Santa Monica patched that feature into the game. Now, granted, it was via a machine voice, but still, it's in there. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is because I watched the Summer Games Fest yesterday, and the accessibility showcase. Now you're thinking, Blind Metal Gamer, why are those things important? Well, at the Summer Games Fest, we got a plethora of new reveals. And the reason why this is significant to what I'm doing here is because these games that were revealed, the jury's still on is whether or not how accessible they're going to be for all players. I'm not just focusing this on why such and such game needs to be accessible for such and such player group. This video is about why accessibility is important for everybody in the gaming space. Now, I'll give an example of a game that I stopped playing because of lack of accessibility, and that was the Resident Evil series. That was a game series I had to put a hold on playing because I can no longer see to play it. And I'm sure a lot of other blind gamers, would think, oh, get sighted assistance. Well, here's the thing. Not everybody's going to have the option to get sighted assistance to play their games. So, accessibility, by having accessibility features such as a screen reader for games like Resident Evil, navigational assists for games like Resident Evil, and games like the new Onimusha that's coming out, Dawn of Dreams. Okay, that's another good example. Or not Dawn of Dreams. Oh shoot, the Onimusha Way of the Sword. I don't know where the hell I got Dawn of Dreams from. I must be anyway. The new Onimusha coming out. Resident Evil 9 Requiem coming out. Those games could benefit from having a full-blown screen reader similar to that of The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 and Marvel's Spider-Man 2 or Mortal Kombat 1. They could benefit from navigational assist similar to Marvel's Spider-Man 2 or The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2. They could benefit from, game speed adjustments, combat difficulty adjustments, full controller remapping, descriptive audio for cutscenes, and much, much more as far as accessibility. Now, those are only 2 examples. Okay, I'll give another good example of why accessibility is important in gaming. Mortal Kombat 1. Okay, I'm going to share this because Mortal Kombat 1, when all this happened, was the first game that I started really getting back into because of why? All that great accessibility. Now, how can this benefit others in the gaming space? Well, okay, you have games like Tekken and Street Fighter that, while Street Fighter does have some blind accessibility features in it and it has good accessibility such as simple controls, simple inputs, there could be more that could be done. And I'm aware that, to do these features, they got a code for it and all this. So I'm fully aware of that. I'm just explaining how this could be done to benefit gaming as a whole. So adding features such as a screen reader, audio indicators to tell you how far or close you are to your opponent, and descriptive audio for cutscenes, and for the things such as in-game cutscenes and super moves would be awesome for those games. So I think that, going on a bit of a tangent here, these developers like NetherRealm and Capcom and SNK and Namco, they could all learn from each other. Like NetherRealm could really help Capcom and Namco and SNK with their accessibility, and the same with Arc System Works. At the PlayStation State of Play I watched, there's a new game coming out called Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. The game sounds really, really awesome, and one that I can't wait to check out. But as far as the accessibility, again, the jury's out because they're not ready to reveal all that yet. Which, again, to be fair, I'm not making this to rant or rage. I want to explain why accessibility is important. It's important because it allows more people to play these great games. The reason why I gave the examples I gave was because those are games I knew that had great accessibility. And other game developers who are watching this video or listening, that if you're making a fighting game, maybe look at Mortal Kombat 1 for inspiration for your accessibility. Or look at, if you're making a game similar to, let's say someone from Capcom is watching this and they look at this and say, okay, we're working on these Resident Evil games and this Onimusha. Let's maybe look at games such as The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 and Marvel's Spider-Man 2 for inspiration for accessibility. To include every player, not just those that are typically developing, but to include players of all abilities, including those with disabilities. Now, as far as driving games, racing games, Forza Motorsport's a good example of great accessibility. Again, if there are developers making a driving game out there, like, okay, EA Sports F125 has something similar to blind driving assist. Now, granted, F125 doesn't have the screen reader piece, but again, they can't give us everything. I'm not going to be bitter because there's no reason to be bitter. This is to again explain, okay, what did that do that helped more people to play the game? So my point being here, if you're looking at making a driving game, maybe look at EA Sports F125 or Forza Motorsport for your accessibility, to give you inspiration, to give you ideas to make your game the most accessible it can be. So to kind of round out this video, I want to say to any developers that are making either a AAA game or a AA game or a very low budget one person team. Accessibility definitely matters, and I feel like by improving accessibility in gaming just as a whole, developers are making strides in this. I know it's going to take time, but I think that getting the accessibility to where a sorry, getting the accessibility to where more players can play more games is where we want to be. So, to conclude, I would like to say to all developers who are working to make their games as accessible as possible, thank you. Keep up the amazing work. And to those who are working on games and who are new to the accessibility experience, I say to you, keep up the amazing work. And hopefully, this video will give you some ideas and some inspirations as to how to look into accessibility by way of other games, talking with other developers, and learning, because I think that's the thing here. What we got to do, these developers need to learn from each other. I think that would help out a whole lot. So, with that being said, this has been my video on why accessibility is important in the world of gaming. If you like what you see in here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And as always, I've been your host, Blind Metal Gamer, saying so long and peace out, everyone.